Welcome to quick edit number 21. After a few black and white edits, I'm gonna take this raw file today and turn it into a beautiful and colorful picture like this, as always in just about 5 minutes. So let's get started with editing. I feel like the whole picture is a little bit too dark, so I'm just gonna raise the exposure here, and that already looks way better. Then I'm gonna bring up the shadows as well, just a little bit here, and I'm definitely gonna bring down the highlights so you can see all of this beautiful detail in the feathers. Then let me go down with the blacks just a little bit to create some contrast. And speaking of contrast, I'm also going to go to the contrast slider itself and add a little bit of contrast there. So I really am not quite sure if I actually want to bring the whites to the right, maybe just a little bit. And I feel like, yeah, just a little bit works pretty good. Clarity, I really don't like to add clarity with my bird pictures because a bird is a very soft thing, you know, feathers, and by adding clarity it really makes the whole picture look a little bit too harsh for this kind of bird. So I really like to just keep it at 0, and sometimes I even go minus clarity with the bird pictures, but for here I really think 0 works the best. And of course a very important thing here is color, so you want to make sure that you have a nice color temperature. You could go in different ways here. You could go with a very, you know, kind of bluish, cold, pinkish color image, or you could go into the warms and really kind of emphasize the warm tones of the pink. It really is totally your choice. I feel like I like the warm tones a little bit better here, so I'm just gonna go a little tiny bit into the warm tones. And then tint, I'm just gonna leave that at 0. Really adding magenta into your tint really doesn't work out, otherwise your bird will look completely unnatural, so I'm not gonna do anything of that here. And vibrance and saturation, I feel like a little bit of plus vibrance would work here. Always like vibrance better than saturation because it adds color a little bit more subtle. Then let's go down here to the tonal curve, bring up the highlights. You don't want to overdo that, otherwise it looks completely fake, but bringing it a little bit up really can help with dynamic and interest. Then the rest of the sliders, as always, just gonna play around with whatever works best. And the other sliders, as always, just gonna play around with it and just stick with whatever works best. So I feel we already have a pretty solid picture here. In fact, maybe the whites are just a touch too much, so I'm gonna bring that down a little bit. Yeah, that definitely works a bit better. And in overall, I really think we already have a pretty cool picture, but really his face is a little bit in the shadow, so I'm just gonna grab a radial filter here and just kind of create an ellipse shape there over his face. You could do this with an adjustment brush as well, but I really just like the radial filter. And I'm just gonna bring up the exposure a little bit until we have a nice look. And I really think that works pretty well. So a last thing is I'm gonna grab another radial filter and just drag it over his eye this time and increase the exposure even a little bit more. And the very last thing I'm gonna do here is take care of this spot right here. It's just probably some water in the background, but I really don't like how it looks, so I'm just gonna remove it right here. That was terrible by Lightroom. Yeah, that definitely works way better. So we have our finished picture here. Here is the before and here's the after. So really a ton of difference once again in just about 5 minutes. It's really amazing what you can do with Lightroom and a raw file. So thank you very much for watching as always. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you dislike the video, give me a thumbs down. That really helps me to improve my videos in the future. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you a great day.